Then we start again. 5 minutes too late, nearly. That's disastrous. We're going to present, we are very proud to present Maria here from Finland. Just after the lecture is book signing also. She has brought 3 books, actually. So you will sign, yeah. And I guess some of you have seen touch of the exhibition a little. Wonderful camera obscura photography. But this is just, for me, you use that as a tool because you are a storyteller. So we are so honored to have you, and we are looking forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, welcome everybody. I'm so happy to be here and thanks for coming, and thank you so much for inviting me here. It's an incredible festival. First I must say I'm sorry for my not so good English. I'm not used to speak English, and I hope that you understand something what I'm speaking about, and don't hesitate to interrupt me, please. I can be pretty confusing, and of course after the lecture and then in the exhibition there are this, you can come there and ask privately from both of us, from Petri Nuutinen and I, because we have made together some of these projects. So I'm focusing now to this camera obscura work that I have done. I have been inspired of this simple but magical phenomena for over 20 years, and it keeps inspiring me. I have made also other projects without this method, long-lasting ones, and they are like, I make many projects in the same time, but yeah, this is this camera interior-exterior project, which is now here, a part of it. So it is the long-lasting project of mine with camera obscura, and in a bit of all my projects. And I have done many other, I will show some images of also another project called Speaking House with this camera obscura method, but the newest projects I don't have, I wanted, they are so different. I, for example, have made the latest project is Inner Landscapes, and it's about memories and album photos and old people's memories. And I have, it is different kind of concept. It is like an interactive project with 2 ceramic artists from Tokyo, and they use photography in their ceramics, and we had 9 old people whose memories this is about. And I made camera obscura images here. And actually this is the only book I still have. I have sold out my other books. There are 5 copies left there, but these are more. And I'm making a new book now, and I hope it will be in 1 year, about my camera obscura work and also this interior-exterior project. So let's start. Why I have been using this camera obscura so long? It is a pretty unpredictable way of working, and perhaps that's why it keeps me going on. And also it is, I'm working, I love light, and I have this passion of light, and that's why I'm a photographer, but that's why I use this strange method, pretty slow, and yeah. And I have been born in north of Finland, and there winters are very dark, and when spring comes, the light comes like suddenly. And I think when I make a camera obscura of people's rooms, the same phenomena happens. It is like total darkness, and then I make the hole on the the covered window and let the light come in, and suddenly it's like hits me, and I love it. It is the most concrete way to work with light. So that's why I think I keep going on. And the images look very bright, but in camera obscura, inside there, it is dark. But I expose so long time, so they look bright. This is my self-portrait. It is from the time I studied photography in the first class. I have been studying the University of Art and Design in Helsinki, and in the department of photography. And I was first, it was a documentary. I graduated in 1986, and that period was in Finland absolutely black and white period, and also documentarism. Photography wasn't in Finland that time art, and it was more like documenting environments. And when I started studying photography, for me it was totally, I felt that it is a way of expressing my ideas and feelings and my relationship to the surroundings. And why fly? Before my photography studies, I studied biology, and I came to Helsinki from the north of Finland to study biology, and I graduated at the same time as I took my photography degree out, and so I became both biology and photographer. But when I had studied biology for 5 years in the Department of Ecological Zoology, and I was making my Master of Science experiment and final work. I made it with flies. And I was spending the whole summer with flies. And it was magical time. I was breeding them in the silence of this laboratory alone with flies the whole summer. And oh, how fun. They started to somehow, I felt like I was fly, and they, how I can explain. It was, I remember the feeling of childhood when I was staring something very closely, because I had to count the eggs and breed them and see the whole life cycle of flies. And I remembered how magical the world was when I was a child. And while studying science, I had forgotten it all, totally. I have focused on the words and experiments that are repeatable, like in science they are. They have to be very strict rules. And then when making these experiments and my final work with flies, I realized that I have totally forgotten the most important part of me, the wondering of a child and the feeling of wonder. And that's why I think I changed. The flies told me to change my career. That's true. And another thing that happened in that summer was that I also realized that how magical the everyday life can be. That there are lives behind the realistic world. Like, for example, a fly. It's like a miracle. It has very, very different eyes than we have. It looks like fly's life, and how it sees our life is totally different from us. And it has the same right to be here as I. So I have ecological soul also, and so I think we are equal. And so I started to study photography, and I was black and white photographer for a long time. But now I tell little about camera obscura phenomena. I don't know if any of you have been in camera obscura or have been working or making pinhole cameras. But anyway, camera obscura is Latin and it means dark room. And it happens everywhere. It isn't invention of a human being. It happens all over. And the closest place where it happens is right now in your eyes. You'll see the drawing there on the left. It's a drawing of our eyes, what happens. And the light goes inside from our eyes. The light comes straight lines and it makes upside down image on our retina. So I'm standing in your retina upside down now. But our brains turns the image in right position. And this happens when on the right there is the tree and a little box or a room. It can be a normal camera, his camera or whatever. And then you know that there is a mirror in our cameras which turns the image in right position. And we see it not upside down on the viewfinder. But it is inside there, upside down. And because there you can see the light rays, the trees, leaves reflect, the light reflects it directly on the bottom over the box, and the roots and the ground goes up. And this happens whenever light comes into dark space. And there is this image, reflection. And scientists and artists and philosophers have used it for centuries in their work. And I'm continuing this. And all cameras, actually camera obscura phenomena is more like a moving image for me. So video cameras and cinema is, I think, even more close to camera obscura phenomena than photography. So here you see on the left there is the leaves of a tree, and they make this kind of triangle hole opening. And then perhaps you have seen on the parks and under the trees, if you have a tablecloth, there are these little round circles of light, and the sun is drawing itself on the tablecloth. So it is the camera obscura phenomena. I think you have seen it. And and then I wanted to show this in our ancestors and even our grandmothers, when there was not so much electric light, there has been these dark spaces where you must have seen them, and you have seen, many old people have told me, for example, that in Finland, in sauna, they have seen the phenomena, camera obscura phenomena. And then when our ancestors have been living in caves or in tents, and there must have been these strange moving images from outside. And it must have been a miracle, because it is also a miracle every day when I made the camera obscura. It is like something, it's so simple but always so magical. And a little bit about this history. There on the left you see a first published drawing of camera obscura, and it has been used on astronomical research purposes. So sun eclipse was, you can't see when it is sun eclipse directly to the sun, so they made camera obscuras to make observations of it. It's from 1544 by Gemma Frisius. And then in Renaissance period, many artists started to, I have to mention that the first written words or notions, anyway, is from China, from 500 years BC, from a Chinese philosopher, Mo Ti. There is nice writings, and he called camera obscura locked treasure place. Yeah. And then Aristotle was 300 BC. He has also a lot of writings about camera obscura. So it's so early when people was aware about this phenomena. But as I told, in Renaissance period, painters started to get interested about this because camera obscura make one-point perspective image. And it is like on the surface, it makes very deep perspective. And they realized that they can make very powerful images just using this perspective. And Leonardo da Vinci was, you know, he was a magical man and interested about so many things. So he used this, and they are not so good quality. But on the left you can see two dim drawings. You can see like a little box, inside there is a ball, and then under it there is a drawing actually about eyeball. And he has used this one-point perspective in many of his paintings, and this Last Supper, the vanishing point is in the left eye of Jesus. And so all the lines goes to his eye. The camera obscuras look in 16th century like this, very big one, and painters went inside these rooms or boxes, and there was a tracing paper and then holes with lenses laid also, and they could draw the landscape to the both sides on the tracing paper. And because they were so heavy to carry to different places, these huge ones, huge cabins, so camera obscura became smaller and smaller in 16th century and 17th century also. And then you can see there was also already lens in this small camera obscura, and then there is a mirror which turns the image on the tracing paper, and the man there has a pen and he's writing or drawing what he sees there. So the camera is much older than photography. It was ready there waiting to be used in photography purposes. So my way to camera obscura was leaded, or the lady there on the left with the normal cameras. Her name is Sandy Moss. She's an American photographer who had a workshop in Finland in 1988, in north of Finland actually. And I heard that she's coming, and I went to a workshop, and it changed the direction of my photography. It was a pinhole workshop for artistic purposes, not like a teaching method. And Sandy is living in Stockholm in Sweden nowadays. And then at that time she was living in north of Sweden, so that's why she gave the workshop in north of Finland. And there you see the big cabin. We also made camera obscuras there, this kind of heavy cabins, and we painted it white inside and brought it to the marketplaces that people can come in and see the magic phenomena. So it was not a tool for making images, only to see the moving images, or the image it was like a video camera, huge one. I have this. So after that workshop, I started to make pinhole photos. I was so amazed that I can change any object to camera obscura and pinhole camera. It was like transformation of any kind of object to a very real working camera. And it also reminds me the flies, because the flies have this transformation or they call it metamorphosis in their life. So when I made the pinhole camera, it was metamorphosis of any kind of object to very, very good camera that makes incredible images. So I was so happy I was able to make my own camera. I don't have to buy it. Whatever, with many holes or endless possibilities. And I started to work with a very simple camera, actually, and I started to work with nature. With normal camera, I had never been able to take images about nature, even though I was biology. So there was something that I couldn't. Why? I don't know why. Perhaps because I didn't want to put the camera in between nature and me. But when you are working with a pinhole camera, you don't need to put or there is no sense to put, because there are not viewfinder. So I just put the camera beside me and just open the shutter and let the light draw the whatever there was inside. I didn't bother. I mean that I just let it happen. So I put the camera on the ground mostly and let the nature take image of itself. And I was so happy that I found this method, because I realized that in this way I saw the nature when I was a child. It was so huge and mystical and like monumental for me. The most ordinary plants in Finland were like a worm's view or fly's view. And I was just taking, and also I took everyday surroundings. I took like a maniacal person, all kind of images. And I was so happy I had this light drawer. Many pinhole photographers call their cameras like light drawers, and it's a very concrete way to work with light. It is not like a click, it is just, it takes seconds to let the light come in and make the image. Yeah, I was like a child, making images everywhere. And very close. I could put, because pinhole cameras have the endless depth of field, you can put very close something. And I enjoyed it so much. So I worked with this. Here is the camera that I started to use mostly. I have made many pinhole cameras, but yes, this was the most used one. And there you see myself working, because I had to put my eye. I could have used tripod, because actually Petri has designed this camera for me. It has Mamiya film cassette on the bottom and then a wooden box in front of it. And then Petri, there is a shutter like a hand. It is fun. And its name is Maria 1 because I got it as a Christmas present. That's why it is also red. I haven't seen the Maria 2. Perhaps it's green then. So there I am, because yes, I didn't use the tripod, even though Petri has to put also I could have used tripod. But I like to put it on the ground. The globe was my tripod, I felt. But I had to put my eye on the place where the pinhole was to figure out how the world looked like. And what amazing place. I recommend to make this. World looks totally different. And now I see that it is like bending the ground. I didn't realize it then, but it is nice to bend on the ground. And then I make this kind of huge frieze and which was 5 meters, the width of it, and I was so into the, like a puzzle. And I have made also a book of it. It is also sold out. It has beautiful poems of Lena Kroon. But yes, without this pinhole and without sandy moss, I never would have found this camera obscura method. And that's why I wanted to show those pinhole images. But then, when I saw these images one night in 1996, I remember, it was Aperture magazine. And there was Abelardo Morel's images, these black and white images. And especially this one. I realized that I have never been thinking that it would be not interest. It didn't interest me to take images inside these camera obscuras that we made together with Sandy, because it was moving images, like a video. And then, when I saw his images, I realized that there is something that I could do, and I wanted to do. And I started this because of this image, this interior-exterior project in 1996. But I wanted, Abelardo didn't have people in his images, and he had used only a hole. And the exposure times, it was film period, and films were not so sensitive, and his exposure times were 8 hours. But my idea was that I want to document these documentary pieces with this interior-exterior series. I wanted to document human living environments. I want to see how people lived and what they saw from their windows. Because for me, what I see from my windows is absolutely so important. It is a matter of death and life for me. And I started this project in this kind of documentary pieces. And this was the first time I went outside. I made first tests at home. And it was Petri who told me that I need a lens, that even not my mother can stay 8 hours in my images. So I think it was Petri went to buy me an eyeglass lens, a simple one. I use very simple lenses. So when I went to my friend Taina's home in one sunny day, I brought this black plastic with me, and then I brought this lens that I have got. It was diopter 0.25 plus lens. And then I covered her windows, and then I cut the hole about 5 centimeters, the diameter was. And then I put the very simple plastic lens on it. And da-da-da. It was I was so lucky that it was bright day, because in cloudy day, the image is black and white. But it was very bright day, and the sun was absolutely in right direction, because if the sun would have hit to the window, there is no image. But it was reflecting. Sun was shining to the houses which were in front of Taina's room, and then they reflected inside through the hole. And it was so bright, and we were just, oh my God, how beautiful it is. And then I took my big format camera and put it on the tripod, asked her to take clothes off, and stay there for 10 minutes. And I opened the shutter. And I asked her to stare in one point and not speak. So we were there in the silence and in the darkness, and I just, please come there, the image. And when I developed the film, and there it was. And it was so magical. So you see, this is the scenery that she saw from her window. But during the exposure of 10 minutes, some of the cars disappeared, and birds were flying, and there's closed curtains on the window. Somebody closed them. I don't know. And I could see it, and it was like, oh my God, what is happening? It was so exciting. And also on the tapestry, the windows, and everything was in the, I was just, so I continued. I was like full of energy. And I started to make every day these, all my neighbors and all my friends. This is my best friend, Sarianna, who lives in our neighborhood. And one next day I went to her place, and it was sunny day, and I asked her to put this blue coat on her and then to lay down. And after a while I heard in the and I was so happy that the trust of her. And I just sit on the corner, silent. And then I took wherever I went. My oldest brother lives in north of Finland, and Paula is her daughter, oldest daughter. So I wanted to take also. And this started to be, she's also there with her mother. They had moved a new place. And as I told, it was a documentary project, but I realized pretty soon that, it is this, they became like landscape of mind also, and about dreams and fears. But anyway, they are also documentary. I love this, that they have these two qualities. And this is Petri's cousin. And Petri's sister from Helsinki. And very many, this red color came. There are so many unpredictable things that happens that I just have let them happen. And our daughter Iris, who is also here, in our toilet. But I love the shadow. I love it so much. And our neighbor, Anu. And for me, I think the way of working, I choose first actually the person, very intuitively. And then I go their place. For example, she had moved to another place and she wanted me to take a camera obscura there. And usually I go first to see what kind of scenery there is. But I really liked her, and I wanted to just have a camera obscura image, whatever the landscape was. So compared with Abelardo, he chooses first the spectacular landscape because he don't have the person in his images. But for me, the person was then most important. So I went to her place, and when I saw the landscape, it was nothing but the boring forest and then a trash place where people pick their trashes. And I say, oh my God, this is not going to work. But anyway, I'm so optimistic person, and okay, let's try to find the image in this darkness and this. And I made the camera obscura and put the lens, and then there was the boring forest for me. And suddenly somebody came to put the trashes to the place with the white car. And then I opened the shutter of my camera and exposed it. And I think this is the punctum of the whole image, the strange car going there. And then it disappeared, the car, and I closed the shutter. And this is also our neighbor Kaarina, who I have been photographing. And friends of our daughter. I love to work with children because it is the magic. I can show the magic phenomena to them. And also, of course, it is magical for adults. So few images without people at that time. Because I was concentrating, the idea was to document the living environments, but little by little I started to do also this kind. It was so beautiful tree outside there in the evening light, and that I had to cover. It is a summer cottage of our friends. We were in a holiday there. And late evening, I just started to fix it, and I opened the shutter of the camera on the tripod, and then I went down to the party together with others, and in midnight I forgot. Oh, I realized, I have forgot the shutter open, but it didn't matter. It was, when I developed the film, it was just perfect because the sun had went down. It has closed the shutter in this way. And then I was so enthusiastic when I started this project, and I made first exhibition with small images in Finland, and I got this 3-year working grant from the state of Finland, and now I go also to other countries to see what kind of environments there are. And I have been working in Norway, in Bergen, and then I have been working in Italy and in France. And I have been working in this kind of countries whose language I can speak a bit, so I can explain to people what I'm doing, because it is pretty strange. I go there home and start immediately to cover the windows with plastic. But yes, it was very nice to work in Bergen. I worked with many artists. She is the puppet maker. And also with this. And these are from Italy, near Rome, where we were half a year there. I got a stipendium of a foundation in Finland to work there. It was very nice. I love Italian language, and the landscape and people and atmosphere. It was Christmas time then. It was winter time, and I was in the chorus of the little village because I wanted models to my images in very easy way. So I thought that if I'm singing in the little chorus, I can ask the ladies in left and right of me, "Can you be my model?" And also the chorus was practicing on the basement of the church. So there was a very nice priest in the church, so I asked him as a model. So for me, this camera obscura phenomena is some very like a fresco images, because it covers the walls. So I was so happy to make in this little basilica the camera obscura. Of course, I had to make my self-portraits because I asked people to be in my camera obscura. So this is in Firenze in one hotel. And I love that in my closet there is anything but light and camera obscura phenomena. And this is other self-portrait in sauna in our summer cottage. Very hot it became. I almost fainted. Then it's as I told, I have been working with film and with long exposures. So on the skin, the phenomena is very beautiful. And in Susanna's place, there was no walls where I could make the phenomena. So I had to put it on her body. But the exposure times were about 5 minutes, so it is not, I couldn't make it sharp at that time. But nowadays, when I can use digital camera, it's no problem. And I have been working with my students in art schools, at their homes. Here is the same lady she moved another place and she called me, "Can you come? I have a new boyfriend." And then I went there and I stepped in. "Take clothes off." The guy was like, but then he calmed down, and I saw these clouds when I was like, I must have them, because you know that the clouds go very quickly, and I just wanted them to be in this position, and opened the shutter and just again hoped. And I think it is like a miracle that there is anything in these images, because it is so dark. I always call myself as a blind photographer because there is even the camera I can't focus. I have to put the lights on and focus the image, but then the phenomena disappears. So I can make the composition. And it is like, I don't know, yeah. And then they were, I wondered if the clouds were there, but I was so happy that they were. Oh my God, time is flying. Now I finished. Okay, this is the very dear image for me, because also there it was impossible to make the camera obscura on the walls, boring landscape, so I had the possibility to make on the skin the sky. And it became the cover of my book, the tiny book, Interior Exterior. It has 2 front covers. It was Petri's invention, because if you look the book on one side, you can see the people on right position, and if you start from the back, you can see the landscapes. But now it is sold out, and I hope I can make now, or I'm making a new one. And I have exhibited in many places. It is in Tampere when I published the book in art hall, and this is in Cannes, France, in the art museum on the bottom. And then briefly I show this Speaking House series. In 2004 my mother got liver cancer, and I spent a long time in hospital with her, with dying people, and it changed the whole. I couldn't anymore take images in the darkness with people. And my friend was a psychiatrist in a mental hospital, very beautiful one near Tampere, or in a little village called Nokia. And there was this mental hospital building empty, and they had used color therapy there. And it has been closed for 15 years, the one building, very beautiful one. And my friend brought me there, and she said that, oh, look, this beautiful house, perhaps you can use it now. And my mother has died in Thursday. She brought me on Sunday to this building. And when I saw it, I just, oh my God, what a fantastic place. It was like peeling skin or something going, and I could have many kind of tests that I couldn't do with people because it is pretty hectic. They don't have time for long experiments. So I could use many lenses and take time for you see there was blue rooms as there was this color therapy, and bright yellow corridors, and only few furnitures left. And it was something like I was going through the sorrow of my mother's death when I made this project, for 2 years actually. And there was this kind of stairs some left. And here you see the beautiful garden that they had. And it was like, I really love the Italian landscape. And I have a gallerist in Helsinki, Gallery Heino, and I had exhibition of these images there. And my friends came to the openings, and they say, oh, you have been again in Italy. But I said, no, I was in Nokia. And they said, you find Italy wherever you go. And it was a smoking room, and the smell was horrible, and the walls were brown and ugly place. But the clouds were going on the ground, and it was like the moving image was really nice. I should have taken the video. So here you see the fresco. The house is making image of itself. It was the shape of age, so it reflected itself inside the rooms. So there was plenty of rooms, and I did it. And very long exposures, for example here, because I didn't have people, and it was dark day, no colors, you see. And there was only little window there on the basement, their cellar. But then I saw in the film, I exposed 1 hour, and it looked like this. I was very happy. And then I was happy I could make my own prints. We bought the Epson printer, and I started to use these pigment colors. And Petri he makes my prints, and I wanted to make these big and use this very thick Hahnemüller torsion paper, which has rough surface, and the pigment was like, you can blow it out. And it used a lot of pigment for these images. So when I was making these interior-exterior images on film, and then at the time of chromogenic color prints, the plastic paper, which are there in the gallery, I have never been happy with the plastic paper. And now I'm making also these interior-exterior images on this pigment, with pigment colors on real paper, fiber paper. And I have started it, and I had in Rio de Janeiro first time some of them like pigment prints, and oh, they are so beautiful, and I hope I can make them all now. And then a little bit, 5 minutes about these camera obscuras that I made together with Petri. Sorry, I'm so slow speaker. But it started the idea to make camera obscuras that I wanted to show when people came. This is Gallery Heino in Helsinki when it was in Boulevardi, my first exhibition there. And people came to my exhibition and then didn't understand that it was camera obscura. They thought that I have reflected in like projector. And then I realized, okay, I make camera obscura in the gallery space. So people understand I make huge self-portrait like this. You can see on the window with many holes, like a fly's eye. It has many lenses, the fly in its eye. And this is the reflection on the huge glass. It was like many, and the people passing by, people could see. So perhaps it helped a little bit. And then I have my actually first camera obscura, or our camera obscura, was snow camera obscura in Luleå Arctic Festival in Sweden. It was meant to be for sculptures. They were giving the open call that sculpture couples could participate there with their ideas, what they do for a cubic snow cube of 3 meters each side. And I sent an application with that I could cover or make it empty and change it as a camera obscura, and we were accepted there, and so we did. And this is the Pinhole Journal, the magazine that was published. It is a very nice magazine. You can find it from internet, but not anymore. It is no new issues. But Erik Renner is the head of it. And I also made this kind of camera obscura with our daughter, Iris, in Kemi, north of Finland. There is this kind of world's biggest snow castle project. And it worked very well there too. And we have made in many different kind of places. Here is a National Museum of Finland, this kind of screen camera obscuras. And what the kids are, we made the little screens and different kind of lenses, and they could find the image sharp by moving the screens. And then we have made this kind of huge one, permanent camera obscuras. This is Comb camera obscura, 2005 in Tampere, one school, new building. And as you know, I love these insects, these wasps, and I want to have this kind of comb camera obscura. And it worked well. Pretty heavy, but there it is. And there is Petri. And then I have made this kind of spiral camera obscura with help of Petri. And I was asked to make a camera obscura in Museum of Väinö Aaltonen in Turku, Finland, 2006. And I had I got a strange idea. I had this kind of fossil on our window panel, and I thought, oh, how wonderful it would be inside camera obscura, a shape like that. And I told Petri, we must do it. And Petri said, difficult, no possibility. And but you have to figure out how it would work, and it must be, you must make it work. And so he said, okay. And he made nice construction, and the curved tracing paper inside is just magical to see to be in the silence, for example, in the openings. It's nice to be there and look there in the silence, other people there. I love it, the feeling. And here are the buckets in the first place they were. The name is Mother's Buckets because I found this old memory image of my mother carrying water from in north of Finland, from the lake when we were on ski holiday. He wanted to make a coffee for us, and he had died. So for me, there is the surface in these camera obscuras, because there is the glass. It is like a frozen water, and yeah, mother is carrying light, and here are the eyes and mouth, and we have recycled all. Actually, the buckets are in our sauna, where we carry water inside with these, and I was asked to make actually the new camera obscura for kids in one museum in Finland, and I didn't get idea again. And then in sauna I said, Petri, I would like to make something fun, something and beautiful that I like, and not serious, but very anyway at the same time serious and fun, like our bucket of sound, which was near me. And there I realized, okay, it is there. And then we started. So this is this recycled materials, our enlargers, the lenses are recycled in these eyes. It is like a cubistic self-portrait of mine. I feel like this. Even my mouth, I can't speak very well and express my feelings, but my mouth is full of images. And then so many different kind of. And this is one birches, the second last image. And in one museum in Finland, we changed the museum as a camera obscura because it was a wall, the windows were covered with walls. And then I asked, can I make holes to the walls of museum and let the light come and the square come inside and people through these holes. And then we got also the birches outside. There was a forest, big forest, so we brought even the forest inside and also the people in the museum. It was fun. You can see that very well now, the reflections, what there was, but there was the whole square. And this is the last image, newest Camera Obscura 2012 creation of image encyclopedia. I was in second-hand store and I saw this encyclopedia books and I thought, oh, how beautiful. And I opened it from the one page and there was this creation of image. And yeah, there it is, man taking a picture of a cow and a lady. And then I asked Petri, please, can you make a hole through? Or I didn't say, can you make a, you must make. And it wasn't an easy job, but he did it. So I really like this Camera Obscura. Oh, thank you for your patience. This is, I hope you have got some ideas. And welcome. So I think it is not time to make much questions, but if you want to make, you can, and you can come to the gallery and ask. Welcome.
Do you have any question now, or? Yeah.
For your interior-exterior pictures, did you do a lot of styling? Put the furniture, the things, the dog on the floor, the guitar on the floor?
Little
food?
bit, yes. Yeah. I always tell to people that don't clean.
Okay.
But of course I have to little bit move, not much.
So the average exposure is around 10 minutes?
Yes, it depends. If the person is very close to the, it can be 1 minute even with film. But nowadays, when I work with digital, good.
Yeah.
Yes.
But do you do more than one exposure, or only
when
one?
I made it by film, 3 exposures was the maximum. But now with digital camera, I can do it many because the exposure times are short.
Short.
Yeah.
But do you lose some of the magic when it's shorter?
Yeah. Somehow, yes, absolutely. That's why I have now started again this series with people, and it's not easy. Yeah,
No.
but I think I will find my way. I hope.
Yeah, because I think when it comes to the photographs of Julia Margaret Cameron, she did in 1860s, 1870s, when exposure time was around 10 minutes. That's the magic of her photography.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but could you go back to ordinary photography, do you think, or will you continue with the camera obscura?
I do both.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly, I love so much camera obscura, so I will continue. I think.
Wonderful.
This
was absolutely wonderful. And 2 o'clock, all the artists are in the galleries till, is it 2 o'clock? Yeah, 2 to 3:30, I guess. And then we start 4 o'clock again here. Thank you so much. I have some beautiful music for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.